This is how to clean your Meta Quest 3 properly in 5 simple steps, and that without accidentally damaging it in the process. Now, to start it off, you first want to take apart your headset and controllers before cleaning them in general. And to do so, simply remove the upper Velcro band on your head strap and take it out of the loop. Just don't pull too hard on it though, since the plastic beam here isn't that strong at all. And next, you want to make sure to grab the side strap very tightly in one hand and the front of your Quest in the other, while using a twisting motion down to take them off. And be careful with this, because pulling it straight towards yourself can sometimes end up in you permanently breaking these sides altogether. But once you've managed to remove the soft head strap, put it to the side so that we can move on to the facial interface. And here, you want to hold on to the Quest 3 firmly on one side, while grabbing the top and bottom part of the faceplate with the other. And all you gotta do is just softly squeeze it while you're making a straight pulling motion away from the front. And like this, it should come off pretty easily. But once again, a big mistake is to just remove it by pulling it from the sides, since this will quickly snap the fragile mechanism that lets you change the distances between your eyes and lenses. However, with these parts now all removed correctly, we should also not forget about the controllers, of course, since cleaning these properly can prevent some very common issues such as stick drift. So, the most important part is pretty much to make sure to remove the batteries before you start cleaning. And with that, we can finally move on to step number 2, which are the necessary cleaning supplies. And all that you need here is a microfiber cloth, an old toothbrush, and a box of wet antibacterial tissues. Although, do make sure that these do not contain any alcohol or other chemicals that could damage your lenses. And instead, just get something like standard baby wipes, which don't have any harmful stuff in them anyways. And lastly, you also want to grab a simple bottle of soap that you have laying around somewhere at home and a bowl of water with it. And that is all. Now, it is very important though to not use any harsh or burning chemical products, no matter how dirty your Quest may be. But let's move on to step number 3, which is cleaning the Quest 3 itself. And let's start, of course, with the headset unit. Now, first make sure that it is completely turned off before starting this process. And when done, you simply grab your antibacterial wipe and clean the white outer shell thoroughly while applying a decent amount of pressure throughout. And while doing so, make sure to not go over the outer glass modules, since we will touch on these later on, but we don't want to end up scratching them up by accident. So take your time to go around them and polish the complete outside. However, you might also quickly notice these small grooves around it, and very often, a lot of dirt and grime can easily get in between those without you being able to easily see it. So, what you can do to get this out is to put one of your nails behind the tissue and follow the small ridge all the way through. And if you don't manage with your nail, then something else small like a toothpick also get this job done just as good. But with the plastic outside now finally cleaned, we can move on to the back of it. And here, you want to grab that old toothbrush and start putting away all the dust particles that might have been collecting here, while of course also going around the lenses and sensors so that you don't accidentally scratch them up. But once done, wipe them over once more with your antibacterial towel to remove any leftover dirt. And with that, we can finally get to the lenses and the sensors themselves. So, you want to now grab a microfiber cloth and softly start wiping the inner lens into a circular motion until all these smudges and fingerprints are gone. And yes, this might take some time, especially if you haven't done this in a while. But once these are nice and shiny, then you want to do the exact same for the outside 3 modules as well, since any stuff on these can actually lower your tracking in VR drastically. But with that, the headset unit is now done. So, we can move on to the next part, which is the facial interface. And if you clean your headset regularly, then a simple wipe over with that wet towel again should be more than sufficient. But if it has been a while, then there might be some particles stuck in here that you just can't seem to get out at all. Luckily though, there is a simple trick for this, which is none other than using any type of sticky tape and collect these annoying little threads and stuff out there with just a couple of taps. Although, a big mistake that a lot of users make is to make sure that you never put the entire interface in a water or soap, since the standard one from Meta actually has a sponge inside of it that will completely degrade over time when doing so. But it is also very hard to dry, meaning that this leads to users getting all kinds of nasty mold growing on their headset, which is something you definitely want to avoid. But getting back into it, with your facial cushion now cleaned out, we can put it to the side and go to the head strap. And yes, it is very normal that this one can get yellow and dirty really fast, even if you really take care of your headset. And this is mostly thanks to the materials that it is made out of. But on the positive side, cleaning it can be done very easily, since all you gotta do is just put it into a bowl of soap and water and start rubbing it strongly to remove any stains that are on it. And with that, it means that all our headset parts are now clean. However, before we get to maybe the most important part, which is cleaning your controllers and putting everything back together, let's first have a quick word from the company that made this video possible. Because none other than Cat VR, who are known for creating VR treadmills that look like they come straight out of Ready Player One, are once again taking virtual reality to the next level. Because while we are normally limited by the boundary system inside our VR experiences, it is Cat VR that has created these VR treadmills that let you run and jump without any limitation. And since their most recent version, which is known as the C2 Plus Enhanced, is compatible with every VR headset that you can think of, it is also often considered as the dream upgrade for any VR user. And they even go so far that it has things like haptic feedback built into it, as well as a vehicle hub, which will make it feel even more realistic when you're racing on a track or flying through the sky. And as a cherry on top, you can also use the code VRelity for a whopping $130 off on your entire purchase. So for those who are interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. And that gets us to the controllers. And of course, now that the batteries are out of here, we want to start it off by giving them a good outside clean with our go-to antibacterial wipes first. But this while also making sure that you don't touch the inside of the metal parts from the battery connections. However, if you notice here that this compartment has some strange looking substance in it, then this might be caused by battery leakage. And in this case, you want to try to get this off with a dry paper towel while also throwing out those batteries as soon as possible. But getting back to your controllers itself, once you have wiped them completely down, you also want to take some extra care when it comes to the top part, since this is pretty much the place that gets the dirtiest over time of your entire headset setup. But the main problem is that a lot of small dirt particles often manage to get stuck under your thumbstick, which causes stick drift as a result, and that can completely mess up your game and overall virtual reality experience. So to keep this one clean properly, you want to wipe off the base as well as the parts that get exposed when you use it in a turning motion. And with this last piece being cleaned, we can move on to step number 5, which is putting them back together. So, using the same order as we took them apart, we want to first put back the facial interface by snapping it into place in a single motion. And on top of that, you also want to give the facepad an extra push on each side to check if it is correctly clicked into place. Now secondly, we want to take the head strap and snap it back on both sides securely by putting the front part first and then clicking it on from the back. And when both sides are on, you want to now also put the Velcro loop back in the plastic ridge on top of it. And this you can do by just pushing it in until it finally curls back. Now, grab it with your other hand and stick it wherever you want. But lastly, we also have to put back the controllers. So, you want to grab your batteries and line them up correctly with the minus and plus before slipping back on the cover plate by pushing it from the bottom to the top. And normally, your controllers will now make a little vibration if everything is done correctly. And with that, you have now cleaned your entire Quest 3 like a pro. But that is not all. Because now that your Quest 3 is all polished up, you will also need to know how you can drastically improve the tracking of your headset and controllers itself and upgrade your overall VR experience a lot. So click on the video that you see on screen right now to make sure you don't miss out on that. And of course, stay awesome.